Can you come move the bomber? Go. He gonna come eat once I come over here and sit down. Go lay down.
Here's what you missed at this year's Black Writers Weekend. On Thursday, we kick off the first day of Pitch Fest before getting into our first panel. Then we end the night off mixing and mingling. After check-in and orientation on Friday, we start the second day of Pitch Fest. From 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., our guests, experts, and vendors exchange stories and information through panels, workshops, and tables. And of course, we celebrated with a social. Saturday is a bit of a scavenger hunt. Across 6 locations, we have workshops, panels, book signings, performances, and more. Our final day is the 15th Annual AANBC Awards, complete with red carpets, live music, and lots of honorees. Thank you to everyone that came out this year, and we can't wait to see you in 2024. For more information, please visit blackwritersweekend.com.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to today's Craft Talk with Wakime Hauser. My name is Valerie, and I will be your host for today. Wakime, welcome to today's Sunday Craft Talk, and we are thankful and pleased that you are joining us today. If you would like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself, that would be awesome.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wakime Hauser, as Valerie stated. And first, I want to send my big appreciation for being invited to Craft Talk. This is an honor for me to be here and to introduce myself to your world, or the world that follows. A little bit about myself. I am a 51-year-old author, father, friend, teacher, entrepreneur, businessman, failure, successor, and et cetera, et cetera. It's like an onion. You peel me back, there's so many layers, and there's days I cry, there's days I laugh, there's days that are great, there's days that are bad. That's just who I am.
All right. Well, we thank you for being here. And I just want to point out that word failure. Let's change that to say it is stepping stones. We tried it this way. Let's try it another. And that way, failure to me is like a negativity. So let's remove the negativity and say, okay, that was a lesson learned, stepping stone for the next adventure.
Yes.
All right. So can you tell us about your journey as an author? Like, how did you first discover your passion for writing?
It would be, I would say, 4th grade. We wrote a poem. It was a sin can, and I won the award for the best poem in the class. And that was the beginning of my journey. Although I didn't write very well as a student in school. I actually struggled in English class, so I never really pursued the passion.
Okay. Now that's interesting. So when did you start pursuing the passion?
Well, shortly after I realized that I was never going to be a rapper, because I transferred the poetry into rapping when I was younger, and when I realized, that was not going to happen, I began to write a lot of poetry. And I mean, 20 years worth of poetry I've written, and I was always scared to have the poetry actually presented to the world because I didn't want to be judged. So even that was kind of put to a side. But then I opened my gym and I started pursuing my passion in the gym. And at the same time, I wrote the book that is now known as Promise. And I just didn't fear being judged anymore.
That's awesome. So, do you think opening the gym helped you to get out of your comfort zone to be able to share your writing with the world?
Yes, because as an entrepreneur or when you go into an unexpected realm, you realize very quickly that people are going to like you and people are not going to like you. And you just you just got to learn to roll with the punches and try to do the best that you can as long as you stay true to yourself. You can't really get caught up into the opinions and judgments of others. And that's when I realized I was ready to actually start releasing some of the things that I have written over the years.
Okay, now that is something that I am working with as well. So, what I try to do is let's focus on what we write or what we put out to the world. Those that it's for will come, those that it's
Hmm.
not for will drop off.
Exactly.
Yes. So, many writers have unique um, rituals or habits when they write. What is your writing process like?
When is either first thing when I wake up in the morning. So if I get up and I have no place to be immediately, that is my best time to write. That's when I'm most effective. However, that doesn't, I'm usually somewhere by 5 a.m. on a daily basis. So that doesn't happen too often when I wake up and write in the morning besides the weekends. So typically is whenever I'm inspired, what I do is I take my phone out and I put a little notation. Maybe it's a quote, maybe it's something that came to my mind, and then the first moment I have an opportunity to, I try to expand on it. So I found myself writing during times like I've pulled over on the highway before and wrote something down, and on my lunch break at work, in between a session in class, during at the gym. It's when I'm inspired. That's when the best content comes out for me.
Absolutely. Now, I have found myself, if I'm driving, I will record a message so I don't have to pull over, but make a note for myself to go back to it. So I like when you said you will pull over because that's when the creativity is really calling to us and
Hmm.
saying, pay attention. So it's good that we are in tune to the creative side. Let me ask you this question. Your book, Promise, has garnered significant attention. Can you share with us the backstory behind this particular work and what you hope readers will take from it?
That's a good question. And the promise is the book's essentially about the first promise that I ever kept to myself, fully kept to myself. Um, there were many times in my life prior to writing the book or prior to going through my personal transformation that I would say, "Oh, I'm going to do this," and within the first week, sometimes the first hour, I would be, it would be over. It was like a New Year's resolution. Like I'm going to do this. And then by, January 2nd, that was out the door. It was some excuse or reason. So the promise was that I said I was going to do something and I actually followed through with it for a long period of time with consistency and fidelity. And I wrote about how I was able to do that. And when I did it, I didn't really have the philosophy I had afterwards. It was when I looked back and I was like, what did I do to actually keep my promise to myself? And that's how I formulated promise, which is actually an acronym for various different words that comes together as the promise I kept to myself to change my weight, change my nutrition habits, change how I treated people, change my performance, change almost everything about me.
Wow. So I'm curious, what was that actual first promise, if you don't mind sharing?
The promise that I kept for the first promise I failed on, or I mean not failed, the first promise that I didn't keep, or
Yes.
the first promise the oh I can't ever throughout my life I would make promises like all right, here's a typical promise. When I was in I think I was 11th grade, a few of my friends, we got somebody to go buy us alcohol, and I got crazy intoxicated. Probably had alcohol poisoning, and I promised myself I would never drink again. That didn't actually happen. Another time, I promised myself I was gonna get good grades. That didn't happen. I promised myself I wouldn't smoke cigarettes, and I ended up smoking cigarettes at a point in my life. So there was multiple promises that I never kept throughout my life. And the first promise I kept
Yes.
was the promise to actually transform my weight through working out every morning for a year. So I promised myself that I would wake up and go to the gym 5 days a week, 3 to 5 days a week for a year. And I've done that now for this will be the 12th year I'm into doing that.
Oh, that is awesome. Hats off to you. Now, that is leading into the next thing. You spoke a little bit about overcoming challenges. So, how do we overcome challenges or creative blocks to tackle the writer block and have strategies for maintaining a creative momentum? Can you share with the audience a little bit about that?
Yeah, I don't believe in like writer's block or creativity blocks. I believe that you just need to be consistent.
Okay.
If you write every day, if you make it a point to write every day or do anything every day, of course some days you're going to be better than the other, but the consistency of it is what's going to make the overall work good. So if you say I have a writing block, I'm not going to write for a month, then for that whole month there's no product. But if you just write every day, I guarantee you will find multiple writings that are worth going back and recreating and making something special out of.
That sounds amazing as well. Thank you, because I'm going to start viewing it not as a writer's block. So I'm going to challenge myself to try it for 30 days. So that's something for the audience to take heed of as well. So we appreciate that. Okay.
Thank
So when you wrote your book, I know it's a promise, based on a promise. So, how did you craft the characters or character in the book?
Well, the book's more of a self-development book, so the character in the book was primarily myself, and I used examples from my life of the shortcomings and then how those shortcomings were overcome. And it was just developed from experience. Life's lessons for me have always come through experience. You can tell me, like my grandfather said, always used to tell me, I could tell you, but you're gonna have to learn the hard way, and you're gonna learn the hard way because you're not gonna listen, and that's the reality. Like we usually learn our best lessons through the experience. So the experiences that I've had in life were used throughout the book, and that's how I developed a character.
Yes. And I like when you said real life experience, because that is true. We get the best ideas or the best creativity from what we have or have not experienced. So I wanted to point that out as well, because when we go through life, as a child, we have a good imagination. And as we grow older and have to pay bills and things, that imagination gets lost. And then we're real life experiences. So I believe writing helps us to get back to that childlike
Hmm.
development. Do you feel that your experiences and starting at in the fourth grade, did that resonate to you when you got, I don't want to say really serious, but when you promised yourself to write the book? Did you reflect on that fourth grade experience?
Yes, and yes, I did. I often refer to like where like the foundation, and that was
Yes.
when I first discovered like that I actually enjoyed writing. Um, but I can't. The book was something I did initially for the benefit of the fact that I was opening up a gym. Because the backstory was that I wrote the book before I opened the gym. So I wrote the book in 1990. I mean, in 2017, and we opened the gym in 2018, and I didn't publish the book until 2023. So um, it like the gym helped me go back and write the book and make the book better because when you go into entrepreneurship, you don't like I thought I knew what I was doing and I thought I would be good at what I did and I went into that and I was terrible and I struggled through it, but I didn't give up because I promised myself I wouldn't. So it kind of when 5 years came and we beat COVID and our business was still open, I was like, wow, I kept that promise. And then it was just like, oh my goodness, I got a book that I wrote just a couple years ago about a promise. And that's how it came back out as, for me to publish the book.
Yes. Okay. Did you self publish?
Te- yes and no. It's self-published. Like I own all the rights to the book, but I had someone help me through the process. So I actually wrote the book twice. Like I wrote the book, then I presented it to them, and then we went through the book step by step, chapter by chapter, and rewrote the book essentially in a maybe a 4 month span. We used to meet once a week and kind of for about an hour and develop the book, redevelop the book.
Okay. So, in that self publishing, if you had the opportunity, would you also go the traditional route?
And go to a publisher, you mean?
Yes.
I'm so there's advantages and disadvantages. I don't think that I mean I'm just Wakime Hauser, a young entrepreneur in Connecticut. Like I don't think a publisher would have accepted any of my work. And so I think going the route I did was the best to get the book out there. And I have other work. I'm working on a book as we speak right now, and I have several other ones that I would like to publish. And I think after you prove that you have content that's worthy, then maybe I would go the other route. But I would have to. There's a lot of contracts and rights, and it gets real sticky sometimes when you go to publishers of like what you actually get if the book really like. So if I wrote a book and they said, "Oh, here's your contract," and then it blows up and turns into like one of the greatest books of all, Maya Angelou book or something, then
Yes.
they own all the rights to it, and I don't, and I get nothing. So, you know, I think I did it the best way for myself at that time.
Okay. Now that sounds good because there's a lot of people out there delving into self publishing or the traditional route. So thank you for sharing your experience with that. So this is another question that I have.
Okay.
What do you believe connects people to your work, and how do you create a sense of relatability in your writing?
It's relatable for many people. I don't know. I personally don't know anyone. If you do, that's amazing. That does everything and has done everything they said they were going to do throughout their life. And so when someone picks up the book and they can say, "Oh my God, this reminds me of this," and so they can connect through the experiences because they probably had similar experiences at different points in their life, and it's not the same but similar, so they can relate and they can. And that's and as because I'm an educator as well, and the we usually enjoy stuff that we can relate to, that we can make connections to, and they can make connections. Most people can make connections, and especially people that are in. Most people look at it as a fitness book when they first initially read it, but it's really not a fitness book. It's really a book about how you do the things that you want to do. Like there's people that want to be doctors and lawyers and many things in this world, and they don't have the skills and the persistence and the um, perseverance to stick to what they want to do based on the outside distractions and obstacles that are in their way. And this book talks about all of those and puts it together about how basically we can do anything that we want to do when we put our minds to it and when we stick to it.
Absolutely. When you were talking, the word that kept going through my mind was resilience.
Yes.
Resilience. And I'm like, so we have to stick with it and persevere through it, as you said. And all of that boils down to resilience. Even if you fall, you bounce back and keep
Mm-hmm.
going.
Yep.
So that is an inspiration for all of us. Aspiring writers, they have people they look up to, or authors or poets. Is there anyone that inspired you? And do you have any advice or tips for those who are just starting out in the writing world or in their writing journey?
Yeah. Authors, there's so many books that I've read that have touched me throughout my life. Langston Hughes, like poetry. So Langston Hughes was like the first poet that I really got into. So on a poetry realm, it would definitely be Langston Hughes inspired me. But the most inspirational people, I would always would be my mother and my grandfather. And it was just like it was something about them that they instilled in me about just being better than, like, I think they wanted and expected me to be better than them. And I thought they were both incredible. So when someone's pushing you to be better than them and they're incredible, it kind of inspires you. And beyond that, like like I appreciate Langston Hughes. His work is amazing, but personally, I don't have a connection with him. I just can connect with his work. I've had a personal connection with my grandfather, and that's a relationship. That's a real connection. And I've had that relationship with my mother, and that's a real connection. So inspiration wise, those are the people that will always inspire me. I can't be inspired by someone that never looked me in the eye and never ridiculed me, never gave me advice, never motivated me personally. And both of
Yes,
my grandfather and my mother, they did that for me.
absolutely. That is something that I can relate to as well. I was told that you can't do it. And when I heard those words, instead of letting it stop me, I said,
Mm-hmm.
watch me do it. So I love that you had individuals in your life that were positive and uplifting and motivating to make you go further, make you do better, make you be better. Okay, so the last thing that I want to ask you first is, can you please, do you have a copy of the book that you could show us?
Oh yes, I have
Okay,
plenty of.
okay.
Yeah.
And then if you could tell us where we could get it, that would be amazing.
Amazon.com. I know everyone probably knows and has used Amazon.
Yes,
And all your Amazon, if you put in my first and last name, Wakime Hauser Promise, is I think I'm the only Wakime Hauser with Promise on Amazon. So it's pretty relatively easy to find on Amazon.
awesome. Awesome. Do you have any tips or inspiration just off the top of your head that you would like to share?
Um, just just a quote, basically. One of my favorite quotes is excuses don't get results. And so if no matter is what you believe is a reason for you not being able to do something, that's not going to get you results. It's not, doesn't matter what happened 10 years ago, doesn't matter what happened yesterday. There's never going to get results. If you want results, you just have to go for it.
Okay, I love that. Excuses doesn't get results. That's powerful.
All right.
Can you tell us about any current projects or upcoming projects that you're working on?
Yes, I'm working currently working on my second self-development book called Follow the Plan. I'm in the beginning stages of that. Hopefully, I'll be completed by June. And I'm also in the process of in the secondary stages of starting a nonprofit organization called Fitness Awareness for All Ages. So they're two very big projects that take up a lot of time, and those are the two big things that I'm doing right now.
Okay, now we're looking forward to that. Let me ask you, can you just tell us where your gym is and how can people locate it if they wanted to look you up and see what's going on?
Yes, we're in Manchester, Connecticut, which is outside of the state's capital of Hartford, Connecticut, about 20 miles, I would say, east of Hartford, not even 10 miles east. And you can find us on our website is workoutharderfitness.com. So if you just put Workout Harder Fitness in your Google search, most likely our gym will come up first in the Google search.
All right, that is wonderful. So I want to thank you for taking the time to come and talk with us. And if there is a short, I know I'm going to put you on the spot with this one, but if there is something out of the book that you would like to read and share with us before we wrap up, that would be awesome.
Well, I'm gonna turn the pages
And
and
see what comes up.
I'm gonna see what comes up.
Absolutely.
All right. So in the book, like at the beginning of every chapter, there was a quote. They weren't quotes by me personally, but they helped inspire. I live by quotes, and they helped inspire the chapter. So at the beginning of chapter 4, which is mindset, and I believe mindset is how you think is how you become. I believe that. Like if you believe, that's what will happen. And so here's one of the quotes from my mindset. Rethink your mindset because the view your brain builds and automatically adopts of yourself profoundly affects the way you think, feel, and act moment to moment and the results you create. And that's by Tony Deval.
Okay, I love that quote. While you were saying that, it made me think of Michael Jackson, the man in the mirror. Look
Mm,
at yourself in the mirror and see what it is that you love about yourself and maybe what you would like to change and
yes.
take the time and do it. But look at the man or woman in the
And then
mirror.
Well, it's crazy you say that because I take walks every day and I was thinking about Michael Jackson, how like he was Michael Jackson changed to me started is the beginning of changing the world because before Michael Jackson, you would say that an entertainer was you would say that oh he's the great black entertainer. And
Hmm.
when you say musician, solo musician, dancer, musician, when you say who's the best, most people say Michael Jackson and they don't say Michael Jackson's the best black entertainer or singer and dancer, they would say Michael Jackson's the best. He's just the best.
Absolutely.
And he just changed things, and that's crazy that you say that today because that's what I was thinking about. Wow.
I know. I'm like, I don't know. That's what I came up when I was hearing you say that quote. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do that. Is there any
Uh,
final thoughts or messages you would like to send out to your audience, our audience?
no, just keep your promises. Just keep your promises.
Absolutely. And I want to ask everyone that's here today, or if you're watching a review, I should say, go out and get the book. I'm sure it will help you to change your life for the better. Wakime, thank you so much for being with us today. And we are going to go ahead and thank our sponsors for allowing us to come together. And you all have a great day.
Here's what you missed at this year's Black Writers Weekend. On Thursday, we kick off the first day of Pitch Fest before getting into our first panel. Then we end the night off mixing and mingling. After check-in and orientation on Friday, we start the second day of Pitch Fest. From 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., our guests, experts, and vendors exchange stories and information through panels, workshops, and tables. And of course, we celebrated with the social. Saturday is a bit of a scavenger hunt. Across 6 locations, we have workshops, panels, book signings, performances, and more. Our final day is the 15th annual AANBC Awards, complete with red carpets, live music, and lots of honorees. Thank you to everyone that came out this year, and we can't wait to see you in 2024. For more information, please visit blackwritersweekend.com.